So the eight awarenesses is effectively this framework that anybody can use to rearrange our relationship with anything that we feel is dimming our life. So we've been speaking a little bit about alcohol, but it could also be social media. It could be workaholism. It could be perfectionism. It could be excessive spending or exercise or a complicated relationship with food. It's really anything that we go to soften the edges of life. And the eight awarenesses kind of walk us through a framework with which we can kind of rearrange that connection, that relationship with that thing that we use. And we all have them. And I still have mine. So the first and the most important kind of foundational awareness is around clarity. It is my life is better clear. This is really about noticing that maybe we're better off without this thing that we're using to dim out. The second awareness is around choice. And the awareness itself is I choose what I consume. And this is an invitation for all of us to notice we have much more power than we sometimes believe we do. We make many, 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 many decisions between the thought of consuming something and actually bringing it into our systems. Everything from going to get, pick up, pour, or opening the internet, clicking certain tabs, buttons, getting wherever you are, or even in spending time with certain people who are not necessarily nourishing to us, or watching media that is not very helpful to our psyche or our education or our awareness. So the second awareness, choice, I choose what I consume. The third awareness is intuition, and it's my intuition defines my priorities. This is really something that happens to many people when we get on the clarity journey. We realize we actually have access to this incredible deeper, higher awareness, or some of us refer to it as gut, that ability to know inside of ourselves what is right for us in any given moment, regardless of what other people or even our brain is saying. It's something much deeper that we can rely on. And the clearer we are, the more access we have to that. The fourth one is about past trauma, pain, difficulty. And it is my trauma is not my identity. Most of us, if we've been dimming out with something for a while, there's something haunting or plaguing or troubling us. People often say when you stop getting stoned or you stop drinking or you stop soothing yourself with sugar, that's the easy part. The hard part is actually experiencing the feelings or the awarenesses or emotions maybe that we've been doing such a good job of dimming out with this go-to relief. And so the invitation of the fourth awareness is to discover what that is. Do what we need to do to face it or understand it or make peace with it. And if possible, try to not make it our identity. My personal example of this is I treated breast cancer 3 years ago. And I'm often in medical settings in particular referred to as a breast cancer survivor. And I thank the person for that. And then I say, I prefer to say I had breast cancer, not I am a survivor of breast cancer. It means,
You don't want to be defined by it, it sounds
yeah,
like.
I don't want it to stick to me. Similarly, for a long time, I had in my bio, daughter of a deceased alcoholic. And it took me years to notice I was kind of putting this nice, convenient victim coat on and using that as a way to define my identity, often before people even met me. It was this kind of orientation that wasn't necessarily helpful. The fifth awareness goes a little bit deeper on those relationships. Forgiveness and letting go are on the path to liberation. This is about, in some ways, connected to the making amends of Alcoholics Anonymous. We all have relationships in our lives, looking back in the rearview mirror, that might be complicated. They might be the source of pain or resentment or hurt or frustration or disappointment. And I learned in working with people through the Clear Life community, through the podcast, in my own circles, that it can be really heavy to carry those around. And so this awareness and the practices that I offer with it really helps us learn how to harmonize our lives with those past relationships in some way. And in many cases, not necessarily go back to the person and try to heal with them or make an apology or get an apology or whatever that transaction might be. But sometimes letting go and just forgiveness from our side is the most important and liberating step. And it can be incredibly powerful in lightening our load and letting us be a little bit, more forward facing on our path. I found there were a number of people that I didn't want to go back to myself, but if I could forgive them and put that down myself, just even privately within me, is very transformative. That was the case with my mother and with my ex-husband. The sixth awareness is about no judgment. And it is, I do not impose my orientations upon others. It was also at one point referred to as do you, which I love the simplicity of that. It's maybe a little bit easier to remember. When we make change, there's a part of us as human beings and being the social creatures that we are, we just want to get everybody on the bus with us. It's like, hey, I stopped drinking, I feel amazing, or I quit Instagram and removed it from my phone, you should too, or try this new supplement I'm trying that's changed my life, whatever. People get so excited about bringing everybody else along with them. And then when they don't, there can be frustration or disappointment. And so the invitation of the success is to just do you, like be on your path. Other people are going to be on their path. Feel free to ask them questions or be there present for them in a way, but don't feel like we need to look at other people's recycling cans and have private commentary about how they might feel today. That's not really the point of this. The seventh awareness is around time, and it is time is our most precious currency. This is something, it's kind of twofold. First of all, we realize when we get clear that it's really up to us to know what our priorities are and organize our lives to honor them. So we have all these wonderful resources about finances, how to save money, how to spend money well, where to invest our money, you know, thousands and thousands of books and programs and webinars and coaching and support systems. And we have so little around time. And time is actually the most valuable thing we have. It's finite. We cannot acquire more, no matter how much power or money we have. And it is really up to us to be sure that we spend it in a way that is aligned with our true selves and what we care the most about. And if anybody who's been in an unhealthy habit for a while and we pop out of it, we quickly realize how much maybe time we've wasted or not used intentionally. I also discovered through this that I found time about a year and a half after I had stopped drinking. I noticed it felt like my days were longer. I had more opportunity to pursue interests, relationships, other things that I previously felt like I didn't have time for. And I did the math on how much just a social drinking habit was consuming my time. It was the hours, getting to the place to drink together or drinking, and then kind of a little fuzzy that night, not able to read a book or write a letter or do something creative. And then the next morning, maybe an hour wasted in just kind of getting the wheels back on the wagon to get the day going. And it was about 3 hours a day, roughly, times 365 days a year. I'm like, that's 1,000 hours of lifetime. What can we do with 1,000 hours in a year of discretionary time? Learn 3 languages, train for a marathon, read 40 books. I mean, it's incredible what we can do with 1,000 hours. So that was a really, really big and important one. And then the eighth awareness and the final awareness is about service, which is I seek out ways to support others. And this again is very similar to the 12th step in kind of paying it forward and finding ways to connect with others on their path. I used to believe that we should really lean into service in times of abundance. I actually think it's as, if not more important, to lean into service in times of scarcity as well, because it can be so nourishing to us to support others, and it's generative to be generous. So that's the 8 awarenesses.